Anti-abortion leaders said Wednesday they remain undeterred after Donald Trump stated he would veto a federal abortion ban for the first time, having previously sidestepped the topic. During Tuesday night's vice presidential debate, Trump posted on Truth Social, "Everyone knows I would not support a federal abortion ban under any circumstances, and would, in fact, veto it." He added that abortion rights should be left to the states, a common stance since Roe v. Wade was overturned by a conservative majority that included 3 of his Supreme Court appointees. Since the ruling, abortion rights have become a major vulnerability for the GOP, which struggles to find a consistent message while driving turnout for Democrats. With the election less than 5 weeks away, Trump is trying to bridge the gap between his anti-abortion base and the majority of Americans who support abortion rights, aiming to gain support from women, a group favoring Democratic nominee Kamala Harris in key battleground states. Trump's statement last night is another example of Republicans trying to rebrand themselves on abortion, said Ryan Stitzline, Vice President of Political and Government Relations at Reproductive Freedom for All. But the only thing that has changed is their rhetoric, reflecting their concern over the political fallout from this unpopular position. Major anti-abortion groups, while disagreeing with Trump, say they are not discouraged by his comments. Kristen Hawkins, president of Students for Life of America, stated, "There are differing approaches within the pro-life movement on how best to achieve our goal." She added that while they might disagree on long-term goals, they can work with Trump's direction in the short term. Hawkins noted that Trump could pursue other avenues to restrict abortion, such as defunding Planned Parenthood and appointing anti-abortion officials to federal departments. Carol Tobias, president of the National Right to Life Committee, expressed no surprise at Trump's remarks. But frankly, unless something unusual happens in this election, neither side will have the votes in Congress to pass a national law, she said. So that wasn't really a priority for us anyway. Angela Vasquez-Giroux, vice president of communications for Planned Parenthood Votes, expressed skepticism about Trump's pledge to veto a national abortion ban, labeling him a legendary flip-flopper who says whatever he thinks helps him most in the moment. She noted that even without a national ban, Trump could still restrict abortion nationwide by appointing anti-abortion judges or reviving the Comstock Act, a 19th-century law that abortion rights advocates warn could threaten access to medication abortion. Donald Trump had not previously clarified whether he would veto a national ban on abortion and, during a September debate with Vice President Kamala Harris, he repeatedly dodged the question. This was surprising, considering that it seems unlikely either party could amass the necessary votes in Congress to pass national abortion legislation. In August, Trump's running mate, Ohio Senator JD Vance, asserted that Trump would indeed veto a national ban, but during the September debate, Trump stated, "I didn't discuss it with JD," leaving his stance on this critical issue ambiguous. The question of Trump's position has continued to linger, especially as his views appear to shift over time. Senior advisor Jason Miller dismissed the idea that Trump had altered his stance, asserting, "President Trump made clear, which he said all along, it should be back in the states." This suggests a preference for state-level decision-making on abortion rather than a federal ban. However, Vance made a false claim during the debate, asserting that he never backed a national ban, despite his earlier statements expressing a desire for abortion to be illegal at the national level and his support for a 15-week ban. In 2023, he went so far as to endorse a minimum national standard for abortion at 15 weeks, which has raised eyebrows among critics who see it as a way to reframe the conversation. Republicans have faced growing accusations of rebranding federal abortion restrictions as minimum national standards in an attempt to obscure their actual positions, especially amid the political unpopularity of their stance on abortion. "It doesn't matter what they call it," said Vasquez-Giroux, a vocal abortion rights advocate. "What matters is how it impacts everyone we know and care about. Whether it's called a limit or a ban, it's essentially the same, and everyday people will suffer the consequences." According to a July poll conducted by the Associated Press and ORC Center for Public Affairs Research, about 6 in 10 Americans believe their state should allow legal abortion for any reason. This sentiment is reflected in recent statewide votes, where voters in 7 states, including those with conservative leanings like Kentucky, Montana, and Ohio, have either protected abortion rights or outright rejected attempts to restrict them. Harris's campaign has been vocal in its assertion that Trump would sign a national abortion ban if he were to be re-elected, holding him accountable for the restrictions that have been enacted since the landmark Roe v. Wade decision was overturned. Trump has taken credit for appointing the 3 Supreme Court justices who played a significant role in the overturning of Roe, and has often touted that the abortion issue should return to the states for local governance. However, the reality is that voters in about half of the states do not have a direct say in these matters, and in states where abortion is on the ballot this year, anti-abortion groups alongside their Republican allies are employing a variety of strategies to counter proposed initiatives aimed at protecting abortion rights. This complex landscape highlights the ongoing national debate over reproductive rights and the challenges faced by voters seeking to have their voices heard.